It was a beautiful day in the lab of Professor Zephyr Zolt, a renowned scientist and inventor who had dedicated his life to exploring the mysteries of the universe. The lab was filled with all sorts of gadgets, gizmos, and machines, but the one that caught the eye of everyone was the teleportation device. It was a sleek, silver machine that looked like a cross between a spaceship and a time machine. Zephyr was a tall man with wild, curly hair and a thick beard. He was always dressed in a white lab coat and carried a pen and notebook with him wherever he went. He was surrounded by a team of scientists, including his assistant, Lyrian, a young woman with curly brown hair and bright green eyes. "All right, team, today is the day," Zephyr announced. "We are going to test the teleportation device and see if it works." The team was excited and nervous. They had been working on the device for years, and today was the day they would finally see if it worked. They all gathered around the machine, watching as Zephyr set the coordinates for the Bermuda Triangle. "This is it," Zephyr said as he flipped the switch. "We're going to the heart of the Bermuda Triangle to uncover its secrets." The machine hummed to life, and a bright light filled the room. The scientists felt themselves being pulled into the machine, and suddenly they were gone. When they opened their eyes, they found themselves in a strange, unfamiliar place. The sky was a deep shade of purple, and the ground was made of a strange, glowing substance. "Where are we?" Lyrian asked, looking around in amazement. "I don't know," Zephyr said, "but it's not the Bermuda Triangle." Suddenly they heard a strange, growling sound, and they realized they were being hunted. They ran as fast as they could, trying to find a way out of this strange place. "What's happening?" Lyrian asked, panting. "I think the teleportation device malfunctioned," Zephyr said, "and we've been transported to an alternate dimension." The team continued to run, trying to find a way back to their own world. But as they ran, they began to uncover a sinister plot that threatened to unravel the fabric of time and space itself. "We have to find a way back," Zephyr said, "before we become the latest victims of the Bermuda Triangle." "But how?" Lyrian asked. "We don't even know where we are." "We'll figure it out," Zephyr said, determination in his voice. "We're scientists. We'll solve the mystery of the triangle and find a way back to our own world." The team continued to run, their hearts racing as they tried to solve the mystery of the Bermuda Triangle and find a way back to their own world. But as they delved deeper into the unknown, they began to realize that the stakes were higher than they ever could have imagined. The team of scientists continued to run through the strange, unfamiliar landscape of the alternate dimension. They were being hunted by an unknown entity, and they didn't know how much time they had left. Zephyr was leading the way, his eyes scanning the surroundings for any signs of a way out. Lyrian was close behind him, her hand on her chest as she tried to catch her breath. "What do we do?" Lyrian asked, her voice shaking. "We need to find a way back to our own world," Zephyr said. "But first, we need to understand what's happening here." They continued to run, dodging strange, glowing creatures and avoiding the glowing ground that seemed to be alive. Suddenly they heard a loud roar, and they realized that the entity hunting them was getting closer. "We need to find a place to hide," Zephyr said, looking around for a place to take shelter. They spotted a large cave in the distance, and they ran towards it, hoping it would provide some protection. They reached the cave and quickly realized that it was much larger than it appeared from the outside. "This is it," Zephyr said, his voice echoing in the cave. "We'll be safe here for now." They settled into the cave, and Zephyr pulled out his notebook, determined to figure out what was happening. He scribbled down notes and made calculations, trying to understand the strange energy that surrounded them. "What have you found?" Lyrian asked, her eyes wide with wonder. "I think we've stumbled upon a portal," Zephyr said, his voice filled with excitement. "It's a doorway between our world and this one, and I think we can use it to get back to our own world." Lyrian's eyes lit up, and she hugged Zephyr, tears streaming down her face. "We're going to make it back," she said. "I know we will." But just as they were about to celebrate their discovery, they heard a loud roar, and they realized that the entity hunting them was getting closer. "We need to move," Zephyr said, grabbing Lyrian's hand. "We don't have much time." They ran towards the portal, dodging strange creatures and avoiding the glowing ground that seemed to be alive. They reached the portal, and Zephyr pushed the button, activating the machine. The team was transported back to their own world, and they looked around in amazement. They were back in the lab, surrounded by all the familiar gadgets and machines. "We made it," Lyrian said, her voice filled with relief. "But we're not out of the woods yet," Zephyr said, his eyes scanning the surroundings. "We need to figure out what happened and prevent it from happening again." The team settled back into the lab, determined to uncover the secrets of the Bermuda Triangle and prevent any more mishaps from happening. The team of scientists worked tirelessly, analyzing the data and trying to figure out what had gone wrong with the teleportation technology. Zephyr was in the lab, surrounded by his notes and calculations, when Lyrian burst in, her eyes wide with excitement. "I think I found it," she said, waving a piece of paper in the air. "The source of the malfunction." Zephyr looked up, his eyes filled with hope. "What is it?" "It's the Bermuda Triangle," Lyrian said, her voice filled with excitement. "It's not just a place where ships and planes disappear, it's a portal to another dimension. And it's not just any other dimension, it's a parallel universe." Zephyr's eyes widened, and he sat back in his chair, trying to process the information. "That's incredible," he said. "We've been searching for the answers to the Bermuda Triangle for years, and we finally have them." But just as they were about to celebrate their discovery, they heard a loud crash, and they realized that the entity hunting them in the alternate dimension had somehow found its way into their own world. "We need to get out of here," Zephyr said, grabbing Lyrian's hand. "We don't have much time." They ran out of the lab, dodging strange creatures and avoiding the glowing ground that seemed to be alive. They reached the portal, and Zephyr pushed the button, activating the machine. But just as they were about to be transported back to the alternate dimension, they realized that the entity hunting them was getting closer. Zephyr pushed the button again, and they were transported to a different part of the alternate dimension. "What happened?" Lyrian asked, her voice filled with confusion. "I don't know," Zephyr said, his eyes scanning the surroundings, "but we need to find a way back to our own world before it's too late." They continued to run, dodging strange creatures and avoiding the glowing ground that seemed to be alive. Suddenly, they came across a large machine, and they realized that it was the source of the malfunction. "This is it," Zephyr said, his voice filled with excitement. "We can fix it and get back to our own world." They worked quickly, fixing the machine and making sure that it wouldn't malfunction again. They pushed the button, and they were transported back to their own world. "We made it," Lyrian said, her voice filled with relief. "But we're not out of the woods yet," Zephyr said, his eyes scanning the surroundings. "We need to make sure that no one else stumbles into the alternate dimension." The team worked together, using their knowledge and expertise to create a barrier around the Bermuda Triangle, making sure that no one would ever stumble into the alternate dimension again. And as they stood back, watching their creation, they realized that they had accomplished something truly remarkable. "We did it," Lyrian said, her voice filled with pride. "We did," Zephyr said, smiling. "We solved the mystery of the Bermuda Triangle and saved the world from a fate worse than death." And as they walked away from the lab, they knew that they had accomplished something truly extraordinary, and that their names would be remembered for generations to come.